Hey there, it's Megan from 2FeetFirst, and in today's video, I'm bringing you a DIY project where I install an automatic watering system for plants. So if you want to see this project, just keep watching. Today, I'm going to talk about drip systems. So I have done drip system before and I've had it for about 5 years and I absolutely love it. So I'm doing one again on the garden bed that we just added to the side of our house. So I'm going to show you the basics of installing it. Now you might be wondering how a drip system works and why you should install one. A drip irrigation system works by releasing water slowly at the roots of plants, which allows the soil to fully absorb the water before the water can evaporate or run off. The system only waters where it is needed and not sprayed everywhere like a sprinkler. A drip system is the most efficient way to water landscaping, plus it uses less water, which saves you money. One big benefit I have found is that it saves you hours from the endless chore of weeding because it will only water at the plant's base. This system is easy to install, easy to design, and will save you on your watering bill. So, how much does it cost? The cost will depend on how long the landscaping area is and how many plants you have. To give you an estimate, let's say you are installing a drip valve that you will water a 40-foot flower bed with 14 plants. It will cost you around $110, which is about $2.75 per foot. Now let's talk about installing your automatic watering system and the materials you will need. You will need a drip irrigation valve that has a pressure regulator and filter. If you're not adding your system to a sprinkler system, you can purchase valves that attach to a hose faucet. And I have done this before, and I will link to my tutorial on that in the description below. You can also find the list of materials needed for this project in the description below as well. It's always a good idea to have a plan before starting any project. So I would recommend mapping out your landscaping where the system will be so you will know how many items to purchase. Let me break down some of the critical pieces. For the 1/2-inch tubing, use a tape measure to measure the length of the landscaping area to determine the amount of tubing you need to buy. Add 2 to 5 extra feet to allow the tubing to weave around the plants. For the 1/4-inch tubing, plan about a foot for each plant, but again, buy a little extra. You'll need adapters to transition to the 1/4-inch tubing. This amount depends on the number of plants you have as well. Also consider if you need straight or T adapters. You'll use loop stakes about every 2 to 3 feet of the 1/2-inch tubing and use 1 tube stake for each emitter dripper. The first step after purchasing all the supplies is to lay the 1/2-inch tubing according to the design. But to make the tubing more flexible and easier to work with, leave it in the sun for about 30 minutes. I wanted to give you a quick note that if you do make a mistake, you can use goof plugs to patch the hole. So here is my drip valve. It's a special valve that has a filter on it and a pressure regulator, so make sure you get the right one. And then right next to it right here, I don't know if you probably can't see the fitting, there's a brown fitting right there. Screws into the union I have right there and next to this 1/2-inch brown tubing. Once you lay your 1/2-inch tubing, you're going to use stakes to stake it in so that it doesn't move around, and it's just as easy as that. No, it's not gonna go anywhere. Now, the tubing coming out from the sprinkler valve, and this is where it's coming up out of the ground. And then I have it angling this way to go to those flowers, but I have flowers over here. So I'm gonna add this T onto this to get that over this way. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna cut you're going to want to make sure that you don't get dirt in the pieces. So try to keep it out of the ground. And then I already have one attached just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So all you do is you push this in and then you just twist it. we go. We've got our connection there. So same thing here. Push it in. And then tighten it. And then I'm going to take some stakes and I'm going to stake this into the ground so that it doesn't move, and I'll stake this other one that I just put in also. Okay, so that's how you add a connection to your drip system. So the 1/2-inch tubing, when you come to the end and you want to end it, I like to make sure that I have plenty from where I'd like to end it. Just cut it. And then you're going to do a figure 8 on the end. So insert it, bend it back, and that's the end of that guy. So what I'll do is I'm going to stake it. So that is how you end it with a figure 8. And as you can see, my line is now running that way. I also wanted to mention that I did end this line right here. It goes underground and then goes to 1/2-inch PVC pipe, and it heads over there, here, goes underground, and pops up over here to water these plants. After that, you need to add 1/4-inch tubing. And what I like to do first is they have different type of adapters, and I'm just doing a single offshoot from this. So sometimes they have T's, just different options of what you're doing. So I'm just doing a single. And so what I'll do is I'll just push this in like that. And then this side is gonna be into the 1/2-inch tubing like this. So I need to poke a hole in it. To do that, I just used this simple tool right here, just a whole bunch. And I'm gonna just come here, punch a hole. And I do flush my lines before I do any of this to get all the dirt out. And so that's why it is leaking water, just so you know. So I'll get that in. Then I'll take my line. And the key of it is that you're going to put this at the base of your plant, and you want it to drip right there. That way you're only watering the plant where it needs to be plant water. So I like to just move it to the middle of the plant, cut it. I'm using these stakes to keep it up off the ground so dirt doesn't get in it. There's a little arrow showing which way. Push that in. Now for the actual dripper. There's different emitters, and I'm just using this one for this plant, so make sure you check and see which one is going to be best for yours. Once you get that all inserted, you're going to just plant or push it where it needs to be by the plant. And there we go. So now this plant will have water directly at its roots, and you can see it right there, just dripping. Okay, so all the lines are ran. Thing that I need to do now is I need to test my cycle. So I'm going to do that on my phone because I have a Wi-Fi one. So you can hear them all turning on. I'm just going to come here and make sure all of the lines are watering and dripping at the base of all these plants. I'm going to check to make sure my connection's not leaking, which it's not. Now that the drip irrigation system is ready to go, I will set my sprinkler timer and let it do its watering. And if you're wondering how long I run the system and how often, in the spring and fall, I water less often because of cooler temperatures. So I water about every 30 minutes, every 2 to 3 days. But during the summer months, I set my system to run every other day for 45 minutes. We do have hot summers where the temperatures reach 100 degrees almost every day. Of course, just because you don't have to water the plants physically doesn't mean that you can completely forget about them. There are 2 things you should do to keep your system running smoothly. You will need to inspect the emitters occasionally to make sure that they're working. I like to do this in spring and occasionally throughout the summer. If you live in a colder climate like me, make sure you winterize the drip system so it doesn't freeze. I do have a post on how I do that, and I will link to that below in the description. Thanks for joining me for today's project. Be sure to click the thumbs up button if you like this video, and be sure to check out some of my other videos before you leave. If you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you as part of this community, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to get notified of my future videos. I will be back next week with another project. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.